Hi everyone. For my public service announcement, I'm going to be discussing ADHD. Just to give a brief description of ADHD, ADHD is not considered to actually be a learning disability. It can be determined that ADHD is actually categorized as other health impaired, and it doesn't fall under specific learning disabilities. So individuals with ADHD can qualify for accommodations under the ADA in Section 504 if their ADHD impacts a major life function such as learning. Also, the state of Georgia defines ADHD as an IHO, other health impairment, which means they have limited strength, vitality, or alertness, including a heightened alertness to environmental stimuli that result in limited alertness with respect to the educational environment. And also to give some brief characteristics of ADHD, those can include but are not limited to being highly impatient, difficulty performing tasks quietly, difficulty following instructions, trouble waiting for things or showing patience, losing things frequently, often seeming as if they're not paying attention, and talking seemingly nonstop. So now I'm going to discuss 2 to 3 strategies that teachers can use in the classroom if they have a student with ADHD. So one is keeping expectations consistent with these students. So classroom rules should be clear and concise. They should also be posted for these students to read. I would recommend a poster or even like a little note on their desk that has the rules, just so they have that reminder right there with them throughout the day. Also, it's often to have a child repeat back rules so they are constantly keeping those rules in their mind and they're able to implement them throughout the day. A second instructional strategy that can be used for teachers is limiting distractions. So it is often, useful to have these students placed in a separate area or have their desk seated where they will not be tempted by distractions. So this includes being close to a pencil sharpener or being close to a cubby area where it can get loud and distracting, or even windows. So if they see a bird outside or their eyes start to wander. So keeping them away from that distraction will allow them to be more successful in the classroom. And my third and final strategy that teachers can use for these students is to give them a break. So kids with ADHD, they often tend to struggle sitting still for long periods of time. I even struggle with that sometimes. So giving them a break and allowing them to get up, stretch, maybe even dance, or do an activity like go noodle dance, or something that can get that energy out and allow them to just have a break, will overall allow them to be successful throughout the day in the classroom. And once that break is over, you can kind of say, okay, now we're going to do phonics, or we're going to do math, or we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And it allows them to have that just kind of break for their mental state. So now I'm going to talk about 2 ways to include students with ADHD in the general education classroom. So 2 ways that come to mind for me. One is to not completely seclude them. So keep them involved in group activities, especially. I believe this is beneficial for them because they are able to work with other students and see, this is what kind of have them learn and students learn from each other, but especially with ADHD children, having them see, my student, my friend, my peer is doing what I should be doing, and having them be included in that group environment, I believe will allow them to be successful and not have those distractions overwhelm them as much. So that would be my first way to include them. And then my second way to include students is kind of goes back to the desk positioning. A lot of teachers, especially with students with ADHD, they want to, like I said before, seclude them, drag them away, and have them even in a corner or the back of the room by themselves, which is I could not be more against it. Students with ADHD need to be totally included with their other students, need to be at the front of the room. So as the teacher, we are able to see them clearly. We are able to help them if they need that immediate assistance. But secluding them from an area makes them feel different, makes them feel like they are not included like the rest of the students. So having them be up front and center with the rest of their class, I believe, is very important. Thank you.